Alright, so the reason for doing this interview is to help me better understand how to serve our youth, especially socioeconomic disadvantaged youth. And if you were Coach Jordan, would you just tell me a little bit about yourself and what is your connection with socioeconomic disadvantaged youth? And could you talk a little bit about the camp that you're involved in and why it has been beneficial?
Sure. Um, so just a little bit about myself. 26 years old. Um, teach with the physical education activity program on campus. So that's everywhere from just 1 hour activity courses to 3 hour science credits to some writing credits, 121, and then a few classes with the School of Military Science. Um, Graduated from A&M in 17, graduated with a master's in 19. I've been teaching here for since GA a little over 3 years. So still, fairly new and working. Got involved with the camp when I was what year was it? I was asked to work there as a coach by the current director, Chad Nelson, 4.5 years ago, I think. And then started working there as a coach, did that for a summer, and then started as the assistant director. So I've been at camp at Deerfoot Youth, or the assistant director at Deerfoot Youth Camp for, this will be summer number 4, so my 5th year at camp. Essentially, the way you want to know what camp was like. So the way Deerfoot Youth Camp kind of works is, so there's the Reed family. So Tom and Joan Reed were an older couple who have both. Miss Reed actually passed away last February. She was 98, which is crazy. So when Mr. Reed was younger, he couldn't afford camp as a kid, and that was never something that was a possibility for him. So something that was kind of always in the back of his head was, hey, if he ever had enough money, he would love to make a camp that was free for kids who were in his situation. So he eventually got involved with making little pipe fittings for the oil industry, which was insanely successful. So they were a pretty wealthy family. They didn't have kids. It was just him and his wife, Joan. But they were some of the most generous people in the world. So he made Deerfoot, I think in 1978, so it's been around for a while, with the intention of it would be a free camp for the kids. So kids come, we have 2 sessions this summer. Kids come, there's a 3-week session in June, there's a 3-week session in July. And the way that we kind of look for kids is the Thorntons, who are the executive directors, Mike and Kim. They go around to different school districts here in Bryan, College Station, a little bit of Houston, San Antonio, and they approach counselors and teachers and say, hey, we are looking for 10-year-old boys who fit a certain socioeconomic level, but there's some potential behind them. And so after they identify those kids, we'll go visit with them, we'll talk to their parents, see if they're interested, tell them about camp, and if they're interested, they apply. And normally if we've hit that point, the application goes through. So we would take them as a first-year camper at age 10, and then if they make it all 3 weeks in either session 1 or 2, they come back as a second-year camper, and then a third or fourth-year camper. And camp is completely free. So the typical 3-week camp is like $3,500 to $4,000. So it's pretty neat that it's free for them. And then if they make it all 4 years, and then so they finish about 8th and 9th grade, and then end up making it to A&M or A&M Galveston, the Reeds have set aside a decent amount of money that almost pays for their whole school. So it is a really, and that's even kind of moved over into the trade industry. It's like trade school. So it's awesome. The opportunity for the kids is amazing, especially kids who are in that kind of, financial status. But the camp is kind of founded on character development through sports. So I kind of think of it as like a mix of Corps cadets and a sports camp. So we do our best, to try to, by the time they leave as a 4th year, we want them to be molded into people who we would want to represent camp in the future. So we put a lot of emphasis on, conflict management, how do you handle situations. Basically, in every activity that we do at camp, there's an intentional purpose that they're going to take something from it. We do every activity under the sun, whether it's canoeing, archery, flicker ball, soccer, basketball, baseball. And those sports that happen in the morning is kind of with the intention of we want them to learn basic skills that they might not have the chance for, to where they could have some success in sports in the future. And so that's just kind of a physical development side of it. But sports and the other activities we do also have a huge play into how do I just communicate effectively? Because how many kids today don't know how to communicate with others? How do I handle a conflict? And then we talk about respect, we talk about honor, commitment, hard work, discipline, sportsmanship. All of those things are important because, like, yeah, you know, we want them to grow and obviously be more active at camp and adopt healthier lifestyles. But at the end of the day, we want the inner person that's inside of them to be the thing that changes the most. And so it's neat because the culture that's at camp is you know, you come as a first year and you don't know anything, and you're just learning the ropes. And you come back as a second year, you know a little bit more, and you kind of help your first year. You know, you've been in their shoes, they've been homesick, whatever it is. By the time you're a third year, you know a lot more, but you still don't know everything, and you're getting help out. But when they get to that fourth year, we call them gray shirts. So every camper normally wears a yellow shirt, but we give our fourth years gray shirts. But that's something they've earned, and they are essentially almost like mini coaches. Like they in their cabins, they're kind of a voice of leadership. They take a lot of mentorship roles. It's a really neat system. It's pretty similar to the Corps. So I love it. You know, it can sometimes be kind of hectic going from teaching. You know, normally teachers get their summers off to kind of recuperate and then go. And that's not how my life goes in the moment. And we go teaching, then we go to camp, and then we go back to teaching. But I wouldn't change it because it's the opportunity to see an impact in kids' lives. I mean, I think that's what it's all about.
Yes, sir.
So that's a little bit. Does that kind of answer your question?
Yes, sir. That answers it perfectly.
Okay.
How many students are normally join like every year?
So we normally have, if it's a completely filled summer, we have 56 kids in session 1, we have 56 kids in session 2, and then we have a short. It's called homecoming week, where the kids who have finished all 4 years but still aren't in college, they come back and we just do a whole bunch of games, and then we also, outside of that, because it's kind of just for them to get to know each other again, we talk a lot about college prep and what should they be thinking about and tests they need to take and applications and stuff. So normally we'll see about 150-ish kids a summer.
Awesome. That's awesome.
So it's a small camp.
Yes, sir. So my second question to you is, what are some major challenges that the socioeconomic disadvantaged youth face today? And do you think that the socioeconomic disadvantaged youth experience challenges, in your personal opinion?
So I think, and this actually I don't even take from camp. I used to be involved in a group called Youth Impact that work here in town. I think the challenges are actually more on the teacher side, not being able to understand or empathize the viewpoints of kids who do fit that level. Because I remember being a teacher, when you see a kid who's asleep in your class, you assume they're lazy, or that they don't care about your class, they're not working hard, or if he's just dragging around the hallways. But a lot of times, kids in these situations, they're, you know, they may be, one of their parents has to work the whole night, so they're getting up at 4 in the morning to take care of their kids, or to take care of their siblings and get them ready for school. They may have to work a job, different things like that. We have no idea what's going on in their lives. And for us, we think about things like college and our future, and we have the opportunity to even think about those things. For a lot of kids who are in that socioeconomic status, they're just thinking about the next day or the day of. So, you ask them, what do you want to do in the future? And they say, I don't know. And you give them a hard time saying, well, don't you care about the future? It's like, well, they're just focused on today, because they're thinking about, am I going to have AC tonight? Am I going to have enough food to eat? So I think a big challenge is realizing that there are basic needs that we have to meet before we even get them thinking about further concepts. So things like, do they feel safe? Are they fed? Are they able to sleep enough?
Yeah.
I think those are basic things that sometimes we just take for granted that everyone has, but oftentimes those kids don't. And then I would say, at least what I've seen is it seems like the male authority figure is sometimes lacking in that group, at least consistently. So at camp, we're a boys' camp, and it's all male coaches and leadership. Sometimes they can be resistant to that authority, just because it's not present in their life, or they haven't had good experiences. So I think that, and the only way you can break through that is just consistency and just getting them to trust you. So there has to be a relationship there, and that can be frustrating at times. But you just got to realize, like, for them, we may be the only male role model in their life, and that's a big responsibility, because we obviously want to be a good one. So I think those are two of the big things. Just, they're not used to that kind of authority, or I wouldn't even say authority, but that kind of influence in their life, and then just the basic needs. We have to be able to see where they're coming from.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Starts with the leader first.
Do it.
I said it starts with the leader first, understanding your needs. Yes, sir. So, I kind of touch base on that one. So, what are some examples of resources that the camp you're a part of help empower the youth?
Definitely. Let me think of that for a second. So during the off season, outside of camp, which I guess is for campers 49 weeks of the school year or year, we probably don't have as much contact with them as we could. I think we have as much as we feasibly can handle at the moment. Normally, outside of the year, we may check in on them once or twice during the year, and if a camper's mom ever had issues, so let's say they're having disciplinary issue stuff, we are always available to where they could call us and we can go make a visit and talk with that student, and that's been effective in the past. So we are always there. We don't necessarily have scheduled regular things during the school year for our campers, but we never say it as, hey, you're only going to see us at camp. It's always, hey, we see you at camp, but you're a part of our group, so if anything ever happens, we are there. So we have gone and met campers different places, talked to them, we attend their events. We try to be as involved as feasible for us to be outside of camp. I think when we're at camp, obviously in terms of empowering, I think the opportunity to go to college is a huge empowerment there, and do that for a pretty reduced cost. I think what's neat about camp is one, it's 3 weeks away from any kind of technology. So phones are gone, tablets, whatever Nintendo Switches are now, all that stuff's gone. So campers just have to be campers, and the idea is that we increasingly try to give them more responsibility year in and year out, and I think that can be. There's different forms of discipline, whether that's push-ups, sit-ups, having to run laps, suicides on the, I guess they don't call them suicides, improvers, on the basketball court, different things like that. But for even the fourth years, I think one of the biggest disciplinary actions that we use is taking away the gray shirt, which they view as a huge deal. Because, there's certain privileges that come with being a fourth year, but also a lot of responsibility. So it's neat to see them, as they go through the system, like they look forward to being able to do those things. And so I think there's a lot of empowerment in the trust that we give them to say, hey, we're going to keep you in these guidelines and set bumper lanes, but we want you to be your own person. But then we just slowly start to give them more responsibility, and we expect more of them. That responsibility comes with expectations, and if they don't meet those expectations, then obviously that responsibility will dwindle.
Yes, sir.
But I think a lot of it is just we kind of empower them through the culture that camp creates.
Yeah. So that answers my question perfectly. Let's see here. So you kind of touched base on strengths already. So what are some of the undeveloped unique talents that you personally have witnessed or seen in the youth?
Undeveloped talents that have showed up?
That you have personally witnessed or just seen?
I think one of the biggest things is mental toughness and grit. I might say those are the same things, but a lot of times we go all day. From 7 to 10 o'clock at night, we are moving, except for a 2-hour nap period in the afternoon, which is the best part of the day. But we may finish with nighttime activities, whether that's competition sports or a giant group game, and the director, Chad, might pull a group and say, hey, we were up at the front field, there's a track there, we just finished playing a game. This is an opportunity to improve yourself. If you would like to, you can get on the track and run a 400 as fast as you can. And we do it by age groups. And it's just a total voluntary thing. And I would say that in the time they've been there, 90% of the kids get on the track. And they run. And they run their hearts out. And these are kids who, during the school year, you would never get them to do that. So I think that camp, for a lot of kids, they
Mhm.
understand I am far tougher than I think I am.
Yeah.
And I love that aspect. I think a lot of kids realize that their words are a lot more powerful
Mhm.
than what they think. In terms of like encouraging others is a huge thing. Um, I think a lot of kids realize that they're good at a lot of different activities they might have thought they ever would be.
Mhm.
So it definitely helps self-confidence, and then definitely some kids step up as like natural leaders, which I think is cool to see as well.
Sure. Do you think that the reason why they participate in those events is that they feel more safe in their environment because they're around other people in the same situation, or why do you think that?
I think positive peer pressure is a
Mhm.
giant influencer. I think peer pressure works both ways. But one of the neat things about camp is while a lot of these kids back when we don't have them at camp may have trouble in school, get into
Mhm.
disciplinary issues. We have great kids, outstanding kids. Um, when we're at camp, obviously there's going to be issues. It just happens. They're kids.
Yeah.
They can't stay. They're not going to act perfect all the time. But when those things happen, so many kids are doing the right thing that the few that aren't, like they get in line pretty quick, and it's pretty awesome. I think positive peer pressure is a massive influencer. So some kids may be like, yeah, I don't want to go try that, but 13 to the 14 are, so I guess I'll go for it.
Absolutely. So, let's see here. So, what are some particular character traits that are, in your opinion, crucial for their development? That are, in your opinion, ideal character traits.
For campers,
Mm-hmm.
I think they have to be coachable, teachable. If they're not willing to listen to anything, then they can't grow. There are people who are unwilling to take advice, and so I think that's a huge one. I think perseverance is a big one.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to be willing. You're gonna fail. It's gonna happen. So you just have to be ready to get back up on your feet and keep going. I think to some extent, you've got to care. You have to. If you don't care, why are you there? So there's got to be a level of care for yourself and for other people. So care, perseverance. And then I think open-mindedness for youth. There's a lot of kids who, I don't want to do that. No, I don't think so. And then they try it. They're like, wow, I love this. So I think if you're open-minded, if you're willing to persevere, you care about the activity. And I'm trying to think about the first one that I said, which is embarrassing.
Fine, sir.
Oh, being teachable.
Yes, sir.
I think those are some of the things. And then obviously the things that come with it. Are they hardworking? Are they honest? Integrity is a huge one. If you mess up, will you admit it? Do you do the right thing when no one's looking? Those are some of the ones I think of as campers.
Yes, sir. What kind of traits do you see after they pass their yellow shirt and they become a gray shirt? What kind of traits do you see in those students?
Oh man, it's pretty awesome and they're all a little bit different. Definitely, a maturity step up for sure. I would say they're more responsible. They tend to be more other-centered. The selflessness comes out. Camp. You want to have fun as a camper, but their orientation changes so much to, I want everyone else to have fun, and in turn they end up having way more fun because of that. So I think that plays a huge role. So definitely more selfless, and then I think the effort that they put in just hits another level, and it's so cool. So they are awesome role models for the younger campers.
Yes, sir. So these are the program questions I have for you. So,
Okay.
what programs have you participated in that was especially designed to enable these youth?
At camp?
Yes, sir.
Okay, did you say, so enable as in, basically just like getting ways to
Just to help
basically
them
just
alive.
like how we do
Yes,
our
sir.
program.
Yes,
Oh,
sir.
so how we do our program. Okay, okay. I'll just kind of give you what a basic day. So we wake up at 7. From 7 to 7:25, kids are in their cabins with their coach, and they are responsible for cleaning the whole cabin. That is, beds look perfect, windows, sweep the floors, mop, clean up your shelf, clean up your back line where you're hanging up clothes. And that's a competition, so we grade it and actually see which cabin's the best.
Mm-hmm.
But that is teaching them transferable skills that they could take home and be a better citizen with their family at home. In the morning, we break it up into 40-minute blocks and do four 40-minute activities, and that can be everything from canoeing to soccer to weight room stuff. And the morning activities are designed to increase their competency and their knowledge regarding just different sports they may encounter in the future, and build their confidence in that, and it gives them an opportunity to interact with each other. Afternoon-wise, the free time that we get, basically they got like an hour free time block, and that's really just an opportunity for them to learn, making choices. You can make choices to go do some free time activities. How do you use your time? Learning a little bit of time management. Evening activities are just comp sports, so that's a lot of where we talk about, they're learning strategy, they're improving their skills, but now we're dealing with conflict management. We're dealing with pushing through mental toughness-wise, stuff like that. And then in the evenings, we do our night routine, and then cabin time is a great time where they just debrief and talk with their coach. And they talk about the day. Some coaches do Bible studies, stuff like that. And then throughout the day, we just put in intentional moments. So every meal has a thought of the day. Whether that's a leadership quote, something like that. We'll have campers who, each meal, campers got to stand up and read it and then share their thoughts. And that's our opportunity to do that. When we have snack breaks throughout the day, we'll have discussions about certain topics, whether it applies that day specifically. With our fourth years, we would do like once a week. We'd pull them aside, or once every couple days, and we had set topics that we wanted to talk about for them as growing up to be young men. And we just pull them out. That's kind of a special privilege for them to talk for an hour. And then every once in a while, before we'd send kids off to their cabins at night, we would just have discussions about different topics and stuff. So we try to be as intentional as we can with them. Everything we do is going to serve some kind of purpose. We're not just going to do it just to do it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That answered my question perfectly for that one. So in what ways is it challenging for these youth to access programs and be able to participate long-term in these programs, in your opinion?
Would you say outside of camp?
Yes, sir.
Sometimes I think that the opportunities are there, but they don't have someone pushing them to take them, and so they just, it's been there, and sometimes they don't ever communicate it. I think communication can be a huge issue. Sometimes, they talk about how come these kids aren't involved in these organization groups. They found out the day before signups or the day after. So I think communication can be an issue. Transportation can be a big one. They may have no one who can get them there. So I think that holds a lot of kids back. Occasionally, I think it's gotten better. Funds, certain organizations and stuff cost money, and that obviously always poses a problem. And I think some kids just lose the desire to participate outside of camp. When you're at camp is the only thing you can do. So you don't have a choice. You're going to do it. When kids leave camp, you're now back in the world of negative peer pressure, video games, things just pull on their time in different directions, so it's easy to get distracted. I don't think it's that kids don't want to, their priorities get all mangled up. That's some of the barriers I think can kind of stop them at time.
Yes, sir. Yeah, well, that answered my question perfectly. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording, and
Okay.
I appreciate your time and
Yeah,
helping
of
me
course.
doing this.